Hey, everybody, welcome to Lady Overlander Radio. Tonight we're speaking with Brittany Highland of Hourless Life. Stay tuned. Grab your favorite drink, whether it's a coffee, cocktail, or tea, and get ready. It's Ladies' Night on Lady Overlander Radio. Lady Overlander Radio is brought to you by Artemis Overland Hardware, Midland Radio, Timbo Tusk, U.S. Action Tracks, The More Expo, and Adventure Trail RV, creator of the Overland Shower. Hey, Arla. Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey, girl. Hey.
How are you doing?
Living the dream. Let's go.
Heard you had a little sickness this week going on.
We cannot catch a break in this house. Stay away.
Yeah. Got a lot going on. I know.
A lot going on. Yeah. We're good.
Yeah. But it's good because tonight we're talking with Brittany. We're going to catch up with her. And
hey, guys.
Hey, how you doing?
Great.
Yeah. Where are you at right now?
We are in Coco, Costa Rica.
Oh, I love Costa Rica so much.
Sounds
I miss that place. I love it there.
Great.
So is that on the Atlantic or Gulf side or the Pacific side more?
We are on the Pacific side.
Okay.
We are only about 25 days into our 90-day visa. And so we've only seen the Pacific in Costa Rica. We'll go over to the Caribbean before we leave the country.
Very cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you guys have been out of the U.S. now for, when did you leave? October of last year?
We're pushing 10 months. Yeah,
10 months.
October 9th, we crossed the border from from the States to Mexico. So yeah, almost 10 months.
Wow. Almost a year. Getting closer.
It sounds crazy when you say it that way, but yeah.
Yeah. And we had you on the show. You were actually our very first guest on the podcast a little over a year ago.
Yeah.
And I think a lot has probably changed since then, huh?
Yeah, for both of us, right?
Yeah.
Congratulations on a year. And for Arla joining the team, it's so exciting.
Best thing I ever did.
Aww.
Aww.
So let's roll into this and give us a little background on these guys right here.
Hey, Sydney.
Oh, those are my boys.
Yeah.
So my husband, Eric, and my son, Caspian, who's 5.5 now.
So adorable.
We are driving around the world. So yeah, we're almost a year in, apparently, to a 10 to 15 year drive around the world.
You're nearly done now.
Yeah.
You got a long way to go. So you guys started RVing full-time initially. How many years ago? I think like 7 or 8 years ago now.
We started full-time travel in February 2014. So yeah, it's been 8.5 years.
Oh,
it's
wow.
all Caspian knows. He was born into this lifestyle that we chose.
Very cool. So how is he doing with traveling internationally? I know he's traveled internationally before, but I don't think for this long of a period of time. So how is he handling that and acclimating?
Yeah, we took our first overland trip into Mexico when he had just turned 2. And then we did another one when he had just turned 3. And then, yeah, those were just short, like a couple month trips into Mexico. And he was so little. So this is a new thing for him, but he's just rolling with the punches. There are definitely times that I think he wishes he could communicate a little better in Spanish, but his Spanish is getting better and better all the time, just like mine is. And the beautiful thing with kids is that play is a language too. So he doesn't always have to know a lot of Spanish to get along with new friends.
That's awesome. He looks like he's having a pretty good time right here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the water has been a big thing. He was not an early swimmer and he was not a confident swimmer in the water. But just a couple weeks ago, he's in the Pacific Ocean with a boogie board and his big goggles that he loves. And the waves are just tossing him. And he's just living his best life. He's like a new person in the water. And that's the kind of thing that travel does for kids. It
Oh,
just
yeah.
pushes them out of their comfort zone, and they learn so quickly. And it has been thrilling to see.
So you think he's gained some confidence, and he's definitely grown since the last time I saw him. Like,
Yeah, he's so big.
that's
So big
cute.
in every way. A little bit too big in some ways.
He's
We're
going to be the
practicing
most
for,
adult kid ever.
yeah,
Yes.
it'll be interesting to see what he does with his life.
Very cool. So tell me about how you guys came up with the name Hourless Life, and how you came up with Love, Explore, Study, Share.
Mhm. Well, so like I said, we had been traveling for 8.5 years before this, and we had built 5 businesses to kind of sustain our full-time travel. And we just kept building and building and building, because when you're self-employed, you kind of don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. So we wanted to have different income streams. And by the way, on our blog, hourlesslife.com, I have a huge article about how we afford to travel full-time. And it goes back in time. So it's like, what were we doing when we got on the road in the first place for work? How did we sustain all those years? And what are we doing now? And it has been this major evolution, because we really burn ourselves out pretty badly, especially having Caspian come into the world and not planning well for that work-wise, and still trying to juggle everything. And when we realized that we're going to drive around the world, but wait, internet, because everything was internet based. And so we knew we were going to have to change our entire work structure. And so we did. We kind of burned everything down. We went from having 5 businesses to having none of those 5 businesses. And we started something new, Hourless Life, which is the whole idea of, well, we don't have to work a 40-hour work week anymore. We're not tied to a specific schedule like we had always been. We're not beholden to clients. We're living a life where we get to set our schedule. And in doing that, we're really making our family more of a priority and chasing the life experiences that put wind in our sails. And that does not mean that we don't work. We work all the time, but it's a completely different kind of work. It's much more project based. We might like get a place, like we're in a place this week, as you can see behind me. I'm not in a campground. And when we have 4 walls, we work like crazy. Like we work more than 40-hour weeks, taking advantage of a space like this. But then we can go out in the Jeep for 2 weeks and not do any work, and it's okay.
That's it's amazing how much work you guys actually do, because you have the website, you have tons of articles on there. Eric was just posting a few of them, but you talk about a detailed, review of your overland build on both vehicles. You talk about overlanding with children. You talk about how you afford to travel internationally. I mean, there's a wealth of information for anybody that might be interested in starting that kind of lifestyle. I mean, you guys have a ton of knowledge, and even from way back when you were RVing, and just a lot of great info on your website.
Yeah, thank you. Our archives do go back to 2014. And so we do have a ton of information about full-time travel, RVing with kids, gear for travel, and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of people don't know that the blog is there, because I guess Instagram and YouTube are way more noticeable these days. And people don't even realize that they can go to hourlesslife.com, and we have all of this free information there. But that goes back to what you were asking about: love, explore, study, share, which is our family mission statement. And we developed that during this major life regroup, when we decided we have to get rid of all these businesses and start something new. But what are we even building, and how do we build it right to serve our purpose as a family? And that's why we decided to write a family mission statement, and found everything on that we did. And so, I mean, it's fairly self-explanatory, but love, we want to love the people around us, even in other countries, even when we don't speak the language or feel like we have a lot in common. There's still so much that unites us as people. explore. We don't want to be in a bubble, which it's really easy to do that when you're traveling too, because you want to be comfortable and have stability. But explore helps us get out there and have new experiences and learn new things. Study. We want to learn. We really want to learn and reject assumptions that as adults we may have had for decades. Just assumptions about the way the world works, how different people are, what they believe. No, it doesn't work that way. Like we've learned so much driving through Mexico and Central America, and really have tried to sit down with people to learn about them and their history. And then the last part is share. So take all that together and tell other people what we're learning who may not be able to take a trip like this, or may have certain assumptions about what Mexico is like or about what Central America is like. It's so important to us. And that's why we spend so much time on social media and YouTube and writing. It's a lot of work and it takes a lot of time, but share is such a huge component of who we are and why we're taking this trip.
I know that it takes a lot of time, especially to put out a YouTube episode. I mean,
Yes.
your episodes are normally longer than the ones we put out. And I know it takes me quite a long time to put everything together and, do the transitions, cut the video and the audio, and, make it all, do the voiceovers. And so how much time do you guys think that you spend per week producing and putting out a video?
So Eric does all of YouTube. So he does all the outlines and the filming and the editing. So all credit to him with that. And we launched our YouTube channel last year in late February, early March. So we're not too far over a year. But we decided from the beginning that we wanted to publish a video every Thursday. And so that has been our rhythm. And for a while, we were really regimented about it. So I think if I remember correctly, Monday was our filming day. So we filmed all day. And then Eric started editing on Tuesday, and he would usually edit literally all day, Tuesday and Wednesday. So 16 hours, 20 hours, so that it would be ready to go up on Thursday. And so one YouTube video was literally taking up half our week.
Yeah.
And then a couple days would pass of break, and then it was time to do it all over again. And so it actually started causing a lot of conflict in our family, probably around December of last year or so. It was just taking everything. It was our entire focus, and was taking away from actually being able to live this adventure and be hourless. This entire thing that we were trying to do.
You got a tight schedule for all this hourlessness.
Yeah. And we just went back and forth for months trying to figure out what does this look like? How do we do this? And so right now we are off the weekly schedule, and we've kind of started a new thing where we do it when we feel like it, which I know sounds really lackadaisical, but it's worked out okay. We're still making content. I mean, Eric was editing today. We'll have another video up soon about Costa Rica, but there's no more conflict. And the videos that we do, we're more excited to do, and they're a little bit more organic, I think. But it's crazy. People don't know, if they haven't done YouTube, what it takes to do YouTube. And there's so much criticism in that space, and really
and
just try
and competition.
There's
a lot of people putting out, especially, overlanding is a big thing now, and a lot of people are putting out overlanding content.
Yes,
and
definitely.
we came to the same situation in our family. We don't have that big of a following, but it was getting to be where it wasn't enjoyable, because it was trying to get a video out every single week. And now it's the same thing. We put it out when we feel like putting one out, and I feel like it's a better quality, and I take more time on it because I'm not pressured to get it out at a certain deadline.
That makes sense.
So
and there's also so much of a misconception that these people with 20,000 subscribers or something are somehow getting rich off of YouTube, which I don't have a problem being really upfront about the fact that at 20,000 subscribers, we make $200 a month from YouTube. And that's with those 25 to 30 hours a week. And that's
not very much per hour.
Nobody can sustain that Like
No.
nobody can sustain that. And there's no like inspiration to sustain it, which is why I love Patreon and have really come to love Patreon, because the whole point of Patreon is that there are bloggers, there are YouTubers who are putting information out there, and it's like a full-time job. And Patreon becomes a way to make it sustainable.
Yeah. And I like having that because I'm one of your patrons. And
Yeah.
I like that you kind of,
Thank you.
you guys use that to, reach out when you're struggling with something and kind of talk through it with people. You share candid moments and things like that. I think that's really, really cool. And it feels like, even though we're not there with you, it feels like there's more of a connection.
Yeah.
So,
And it's designed that way on purpose. For us, it really isn't about the money. It's about the community, especially because Eric, my husband, is so extroverted. He really needs like deep friendships with people, and Patreon has become that for him. So we put like everything out there. I mean, like BFF level, like we're having a horrible day and this is everything that's going on. This is like the conflict that we're having in our marriage and blah, blah, blah. And it's healthy because it's a small community and it's an intimate community. And we have a new thing too, which is really fun. There's an app called Marco Polo, and it's a video messaging app. And it's like literally a way to be like, hey guys, I'm right here. Look at what I'm seeing. It's like almost first person. And so we're like at the beach and we just do like a pan of the beach. And so it's something that we can do on the fly, whether we're like ziplining or like eating a delicious meal or just want to say hi. And then people can message us back too. So it's been a really good friendship building. And that's just in Patreon that we do it, but it's been a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what else have you guys got going on? I know that you've been writing for Expedition Portal. So how often do you submit something to them? Is it
that was when we did that big regroup of like, what do we want to do with our lives? One of my big things was I wanted to write, which has always been the thing that puts wind in my sails that I was not able to do all those years on the road because we were doing other things to make money. And the writing kind of went by the wayside. So Expedition Portal has been just this amazing catalyst to fulfilling my dream of writing more and writing about the thing that I'm living and that I love, which is overland travel. And so I started writing for them in 2020 during shelter in place. And then I've built up a lot more since then. And I would say I've been in a rhythm of like 1 or 2 articles a month. It's not a ton, but it's also a really big process because you pitch it. If you're interviewing someone, you have to send the interview questions. They sit on them for 2 weeks and send them back. And then you write the article and then it goes to editing. So it's like this huge process to get one article up. But it's been awesome. My last piece just went up about Overland Embassy, which is this really cool new company in Panama City that's helping overlanders ship their vehicles across the Darien Gap, which is between Panama and Colombia. And like that crossing, like the idea of putting your vehicle in a container or on a ship can feel so overwhelming that some people just never go to South America. Like they would go to South America, but because of this logistical nightmare, they don't go. So Overland Embassy is they're solving that problem because they're facilitating the crossing for overlanders. So it's really exciting. Everybody's talking about it who's on the Pan American Highway right now, because it's exciting to not have to be overwhelmed by that anymore.
Yeah, you guys will be coming up to that soon.
We are. Yeah. We're hoping to ship in December.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to be nerve-wracking regardless, but probably learning that process will make it a little easier and just having more knowledge about it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and that it's such a short crossing in comparison to the Atlantic Ocean, which will be our next one. So it will be good to have a little
It'll give you like a dry run. You can work up to that.
We'll practice.
So you also wrote an ebook that you have on your website.
Yeah.
And what is that about?
That ebook is about everything we wish we had known before we started overlanding full time. And it started as a blog post. And then when the blog post was at like 3,000 words, I was like, wait a second, maybe this should be something else. And it's based on the presentation that Eric and I gave at Overland Expo last year. We did like 4 or 5 events. And so we gave this presentation over and over again. And the cool thing about it is that it is not just for people who want to overland full time. It's literally for anybody overlanding, especially people just getting started, because it's all the things like go out there and try overlanding before you spend a lot of money on gear.
Yes.
Or spend money on hands-on training and not gear that you don't know how to use because you don't have the training to use it. So it's things like that we have learned by experience. We made the mistakes. And so here they are, so you don't have to make them too. And that's what that is.
Yeah, that's the lesson they teach you in the Coast Guard. Don't buy a bunch of gear if you don't know how to use it, because when the poop hits the fan, you better know how to use what you have.
That's
You
right.
know,
Yeah.
you got to be well trained on what you have, or it's worthless to you. It's useless,
Yeah. Well, and Eric has just always told me that he never felt safer than on a Coast Guard vessel because of how well trained you all were. You could do it in your sleep, and everybody had a role.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. But us civilians, we think that we don't need training. So,
Yeah, we're just going to wing it.
Yeah.
No, that's so funny. So Eric's getting ready to write a book, or he started to, right?
He has started. Yeah, he started.
That's a big deal.
It really is. And it kind of came out of nowhere, and yet it makes so much sense. So his book is not about our travels. It's actually more about life lessons that he's learned, and specifically about the value of time, and how a lot of us say that we really value time and understand that every second gone is gone forever. We don't know how much time we have. All these things, we say that we believe them, but our life doesn't necessarily reflect that. And it's a really important book it has nothing to do with travel. It's for everybody. And I'm really excited about it. And yeah, he started writing. He had a call with a writing coach today. So it's real. It's happening. It's going to be good.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I can't wait to read that, honestly. I mean, it's the truth. Everybody says that they want to simplify their life and they want more time to do this and that and whatever, but we still just pile things on. I'm guilty of it. I know Arla's got, there's days she's like, I got too much going on, I've seen Eric do it. I mean, It's true. You just start taking on more things, and then when you look around, you're like, oh my God, there's too many eggs in this basket. There's too many balls up in the air. There's just too much going on,
Yeah. Well, and you just look around sometimes and you ask yourself, why?
Sorry.
Thanks,
hey, back off. I know her husband.
Hey, her husband's on here too. Stop it.
It's a family show.
No hitting on our guests, man.
PG. Yeah, I mean, we just look around ourselves and we're like, are we living this life for ourselves, or are we living it for somebody else? And who made all these rules that we built our entire life around? What are we chasing, and why are we chasing it? So yeah, the book is it's a lot about the why, like an actual evaluation with exercises to bring everyone back to reality. And it doesn't matter whether you want to have a life that looks like ours of full-time travel, or your dream is something completely different. It's a message for everybody.
And I think it's a great message. And I think that, one thing I personally struggle with is I say I want just, peace and calm and quiet, and I just want to chill. I don't want to have a bunch of stuff going on. And then when I don't have anything going on, I'm like, okay, I should be doing something. I need to be doing something. I should, I feel lazy. I feel like, why am I not actively engaged in whatever, and it's something you have to literally untrain yourself, especially
I think program.
And it's hard.
It really is. And I've been going through that a lot because the pace that I used to keep, I would get up at 4 or 5 when Caspian was really little, because that was the only time I could work. And I would just do projects as fast as I possibly could because I had so much to do and I was just rushing through it. And now I've created this life for myself very intentionally where I don't have to do that. And yet I so often feel like I should be doing something. And when I'm reading a book which is a great book and something that, is making me think about the world a different way. Like, it is useful. And yet I try and tell myself I'm wasting my time by doing this, or, whatever. There's so many activities that are so good for us that someone along the way lied to us and told us that we're not using our time well doing those things. And it's not true.
That's not true at all.
Yeah.
And I would venture to guess that you guys are a lot more happy and feel a lot more fulfilled doing what you're doing now than you were even a year ago or 2 years ago, a lot slower
sure.
pace and,
Yeah,
focusing on the things that matter.
Sure. Well, I talked to Eric a lot about the world before the technology that we're so used to. Back when people just had time to sit and think, just have big ideas, or like sit after a conversation and think, well, how does that conversation fit with everything that I thought I knew? Or do I need to challenge my assumptions? You just had time to think about the world, and people don't have time to think anymore. It's just like information constantly coming at them and they can't synthesize it. And I worry for our young people a lot, because they're just bombarded with messages and don't have time to figure out like which way is up and what's going on.
And they don't have time. It's like it's like it's a detriment to them, because I feel that they're just bombarded, like you said, and everything's so fast paced, and you swipe through things, and things are just very short in duration now, all videos and everything. I mean, every single social media channel has short, YouTube has shorts, and Instagram has the stories, and everything's just like these short little, TikTok. Where is this, something like this, an hour-long show where you actually can have a discussion and you can go back and think about things afterward and use critical thinking skills? And, it's just, it doesn't seem to really be there. And it's worrisome. I agree, And
so that's something that I've reclaimed. I mean, I don't feel that I've had that since college, maybe, like was the last time that my life was in such a way that I could just sit for a little while and quiet before I had a smartphone. And there's definitely a lot to think about on this trip, because I have seen so much that has challenged me, made me want to think about things differently and share that. But it's taken a lot of time to think about how I want to say it and why I want to say it, and all of that. It's just, I'm thankful to have that opportunity.
Yeah. Sean says 1995 we had answer machines. Today, well, I texted them 5 minutes ago. Why haven't they responded? It's true.
That is
or
true.
You send an email at work and you're like, what's taking this person so long? I sent that an hour ago. Like, everybody wants instant gratification, instant response. It's a very fast pace.
It's exhausting.
It is.
It's exhausting. We can't keep that up. We really can't. And it's been this way for so many years now that I think even those of us who can remember a time when it wasn't like this, we're starting to internalize it and like change our standards and thinking, well, maybe I should be responding more quickly, or maybe this should be a higher priority than putting my kid to bed tonight, or whatever.
No, putting kiddos to bed is always the highest priority, especially if it's Caspian.
That's
he's so cute. But
all of our bedtime stories are superheroes these days. He's obsessed with superheroes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
I miss that kid.
No.
But one of the other things I wanted to talk to you about, you guys have had some problems along the way too, right? A few. I mean, you've had some illnesses. You were sick. My time is all warped, but I think a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, it wasn't long ago.
Yeah.
I was crazy sick.
Yeah, for several days, I think, or at least, or maybe even.
Yeah, I was like in bed, couldn't do anything for like a week, and there was a border crossing in there somewhere. So, yeah, it was pretty bad, and that came on the heels of a tornado that ripped our awning and a really bad stuck in the mud incident, like worse than we had ever been stuck, that took about 2.5 hours of literally backbreaking work for Eric to get out of because there was nowhere to winch to. So it was all max tracks and shoveling. And we did have a tropical storm come through Costa Rica, so we had to take some cover inside for that. So yeah, we did go on a streak there. I feel like we're maybe coming out of it a little bit, but it was a lot back to back.
Yeah, they've got rain and tropical storms, and they're like, come on down to Costa Rica and visit.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yes, Eric, I'm getting ready to show the tornado video. Just hold on 1 second.
Gosh, man.
Let me see if I can get it working
Somebody
here.
wants to know where's the moped video.
Oh, moped video.
Yeah.
There's a moped video?
Mm-mm.
Not me.
Not you?
Well,
let's watch this one real quick.
Hey, we are in central Honduras. It's rainy season. As you can tell, we are soaking wet. And you think we'd be like really upset right now, but we're not. Our shadow on just exploded.
There was a huge gust of wind, and it took up the arm of our awning and turned it up 90 degrees.
So our awning got pushed up completely up against the tent up there. We got together with some guys here, and they helped us bend it back down. It's not fixed. This is Miti here.
So, yeah, we lost the awning. Yes, I have that stuck in the mud one too, Eric.
Who's running this show?
You're stealing all my thunder. What the heck?
Eric. Hey, Andre wants to know where you're at in Costa Rica.
We're in Coco, which is on the Pacific coast. It's been fun.
They're getting ready
ready
to
to
move
make the
down to
jump.
Costa Rica full time.
Oh, okay.
Like
wow.
in a week or something. Like
They
super.
leave Monday.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Her
Awesome.
daughter go down Monday.
Congrats.
Oh, Cindy's having side
Oh.
combos here. Okay.
Oh.
That was for
Gosh,
Sean.
Cindy.
So let me remove that. Okay. So let's talk about that. You lost the awning. Are you guys going to replace it or?
Yeah, well, it was just so crazy because when we got to this camping place, which was right by a waterfall, it was hot. It was crazy hot. So we parked in the shade, but Caspian's like on the swing. He's just having a lot of fun. And it was going to rain, but it rained every single day because it's rainy season. So there was nothing unusual about that. And we had our awning out for the rain, which there was nothing unusual about that either. But all of a sudden, like the wind picked up and it was like a freak gust. And I said in the video, it was literally like a giant took it and just bent it up 90 degrees. And it happened like that. And then it was gone. And we didn't know until the next morning that a tornado had come through. And so we must have got like the tail of the tornado. But this giant branch fell right next to the Jeep. Like if it had been 5 feet over, it would have fallen on the Jeep. And then it was raining so hard that we were in standing water up to our ankles. And I looked at the side of the field and I said, Eric, there's electric lines there and they're live. Meanwhile, a tree fell on the line. I was like, we need to get out of this field right now because we're in standing water and we're going to get electrocuted. So we literally like had the tent up, the awning's all jacked against it, and we drove out of the field with Caspian in the back, in the habitat.
You were standing in the standing water when you were telling him that, weren't you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
I totally was. I was glad Caspian wasn't, and that was basically as far as my thought went. But yeah, anyway, so we are getting a new awning, but it was not an easy thing.
No, I can imagine.
The import tax for Costa Rica is 37%.
Ooh.
And so we have to pay 37% of the invoice price getting the awning shipped to us. Thankfully, OK 4-Wheel Drive gave us a really kind discount on the awning. And so it's not as much as it could be. But we still have to pay that tax to Costa Rica.
Well, they still want the tax money, that's for sure.
They still want the tax money. But yeah, I mean, we learned from friends in Guatemala that trying to get vehicle parts shipped to you as a foreigner, it can get stuck in customs and you might never see it. And so we knew that we needed to partner with a business here. So we found like a 4x4 shop to help us import the awning. And so like it got was flown into Miami, and then he took care of it from Miami. And that way it didn't get stuck in customs. So it's in Costa Rica. It'll be installed soon.
Awesome. Yeah, you're going to need that. It gets hot and sunny.
Well, yeah, and it's still raining every day, which for us
Yeah.
is the bigger thing because our habitat isn't big, and I have to cook outside. I can't cook inside. So without an awning, like, what am I doing? Cooking in the rain? No. There's not been much cooking going on lately.
No, that's not a good time. So I'm going to show a little bit of what's that, Arla?
We're being asked which coast. It looks like
we're in
Jocko.
Guanacaste. Yeah, we're in Guanacaste, so we're not on the Jocko coast.
Okay.
We're on the peninsula.
Gotcha.
Okay. Let's see. Brittany made Cassian hold her bottle of wine during our escape.
I left that part out.
Thanks, Eric. She didn't want to tell anybody that.
No, it's in the YouTube video. It's all good.
All right, so this, if I can get this one to play without all the commercials of YouTube coming up.
Oh yeah.
Oh, see, I got it. I got a commercial. Dang it.
This month in electricity, then you might already know about the $0 down.
Excuse me, everybody. Okay.
It's like clay.
Anybody need some pottery? We got you. Hourless Life Pottery coming soon to our online store. Made with Nicaraguan mud. Right here in the heart of Nicaragua.
So we are on the last tire of our repositioning. We hope that we're making the right decision. It's just hard to know because all around us the ground is so muddy and so wet. Meanwhile, we can see the rain coming across the field.
Wow.
So we're trying to be methodical and take our time, but at the same time, we're a little concerned. Rain is not what we need right now. All right, here we go.
Woo.
Just Kate.
I told Eric if he gets out to just go as far as he can, keep the momentum, and I would catch up with him later.
Just caked in the tires. Oh my gosh.
Gosh. Yeah.
That's so nuts, you guys.
Yeah.
Nightmare.
It looks nuts. That looks like my tires in the Ozarks.
Oh
It's
yeah.
nothing but mud slick. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was slick, but it was so thick. Like it really was like clay, and so it was just impossible to do anything with it.
Oh yeah.
And yeah.
But you kept yourself clean, which is what's important, except for your shoes.
Yeah, except for my shoes because I was wearing Chacos. But yeah,
they rinse off.
I had mud in my toenails for days. But the crazy thing is, so that was like 3 days after the tornado. So it was literally like right after that happened.
Wow. No, I got a lot of hate because when I got myself stuck, I was barefoot in mud. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, whatever.
It's like, hello, people.
Yeah. She's the barefoot Overlander. Duh.
Hello.
Come on, people.
New people
Haters
around here.
Hate.
They do.
So you had the one illness recently. You had the awning. You had the mud. You had another illness, I think, when you guys were in Mexico. Maybe just drank something or ate something that didn't agree, or.
Yeah, I did get both. Caspian and I got really sick in Mexico, but honestly, it's like we said, it's been 10 months. So considering it's been 10 months, we haven't been sick that much at all. And we really haven't had that many tummy things at all. Eric hasn't had, he had like half a day that he was down for his stomach. And then Caspian and I think each have had 2 things. So really not that bad.
That sounds like normal US life. I mean, in
Yeah.
10 months, in 10 months you've gotten stuck, something's broken and you've gotten sick.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Yeah,
seem
it's just that when you're on the road, like you don't have the infrastructure that you're
Yeah.
used to having in the States. And so if you need to print something, you don't walk to your home office and like press a button. It's a whole process. It's like, do I have internet on my phone? Okay, let's go to Google Maps. How do I find a place with a printer? Queue up in line. What language are we speaking? How do you say landscape or portrait in Spanish? And this little thing becomes so complicated. And that's just printing a piece of paper. So when we're talking about illness or something like that, you have to build the infrastructure as you go.
Yeah, for yourself. I mean, and
Yeah.
you probably have to print a lot of things for the border crossings and things like that. So, I mean,
Yeah, borders are easier because everybody has to print stuff for borders.
Yeah.
And so in the border towns and even right at the border, there's usually a place. I think the hardest thing about that is that you're changing currency at the same time. So crossing from Honduras to Nicaragua, we had already changed our Honduran money into Nicaraguan money, but the print shop was on the Honduran side and they didn't take Nicaraguan money. So that was funny.
So I want to talk a little bit about, I'm going to switch gears here. I want to talk about your paragliding experience.
Okay.
How was that? Because you
It
did
was
that for
fun.
your birthday, right?
I did, yeah, for my 35th birthday over Lake Atitlan in Guatemala. Eric gave me the gift of a paragliding flight, which I had never done before and had been thinking about doing for a while. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. I loved that it was over the lake. There was something really cool about that, especially.
Very cool. We're going to show a little bit of that video. Let me see if it'll cooperate. Oh, okay.
Oh.
It's doing crazy things. Excuse me.
That's okay, technology.
Oh, okay. We don't need to hear about a bra.
Exactly.
Hold on.
Lady Overlander.
This is something else
This
here.
is my life.
Where is the
Bra gaps.
I can't stop it.
Shifting,
We're gonna
not
learn
being
about
able
bras.
to bend
Sorry.
over.
We've all seen it.
That was great.
Okay. And are you guys still hearing it? Let me remove it completely.
No.
No, I'm not.
Okay, good. I'm hearing it still.
No, but I'm still seeing it.
In your mind? Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay,
Never
let me
go
add
away.
it back. When she's done. Where
Good
is it?
Lord.
I don't even know where it is right now. Okay.
You got this, Misty. You got this.
Anyway.
Like a bad Victoria's Secret commercial.
Oh. Yikes. It's still happening. It was family friendly, Eric.
I
until
know
the
you-
bra commercial came on. Skip
Yeah.
that.
Nice, Eric.
Okay, let me see if it'll show. It's not showing. Okay, well, we'll talk about that instead. I don't know what happened there. It's getting crazy. It's not
What
working.
are you
Okay.
looking at exactly during the show?
I tried to push play and then the tab came apart from, Google, how you can have the tabs. The tab went off on another screen and then the bras and all the things. So we're going to just skip it. So what was that experience like?
So I met up with the company in a town, and then I had to hop into a van with the pilot who was flying with me, the driver of the van, and some young person who I didn't know who he was.
Mhm.
And we went on like a 20-minute drive through all of these twist and turny hills, going up to a cliff that overlooked the lake. And the hardest thing for me was actually not the heights or anything like that. It was the fact that Eric had asked me to film. So you'll see in the video, the camera's like, whoa, like it's all over the place. That was the hardest part. But yeah, it was amazing because to take off, you literally run for the cliff, and that's how you take off. So it's very dramatic.
Your voice was a little nervous. It sounded when you first got off the cliff, but you recovered quickly. Yeah.
That was like the most exciting part of the whole flight was the initial takeoff, because it's honestly pretty chill after that. You're not going fast. You're just kind of drifting a little bit. So yeah, it was really fun.
So has that kind of sparked your interest in doing other things like hang gliding or any of that
Yeah,
kind of stuff?
I think what I learned about myself was that that was not extreme enough for me.
Oh.
And so I need to find a bigger thrill. So, yeah, skydiving is definitely on the list. I'm going to have to work up to that one. Thank you, babe.
Thank
Gonna
you,
have
Eric.
to work up.
You may or may not get commercials, but yes, about bras.
Right.
You're in
Yeah,
the market.
depending on your search history.
Yeah, I don't buy bras on the internet, but maybe my husband does. I don't know.
I don't want to know.
I don't want to know either. But anyway, so one thing I'd like to know, and I think our audience would like to know, is if there's one thing that you could tell people, or a few things, what do you think people would be surprised about full-time travel? What's one thing they'd be surprised about, you think?
I think the thing that you need to know about full-time travel, or maybe whatever that big thing is in your future that you're looking forward to, is that you're taking yourself with you. And so you may think that by changing your circumstances or your surroundings, that everything is going to be different, but it doesn't work that way. And so if you have conflict in your family, or things that you wrestle with personally, or things you need to lay down that you always knew you needed to, but you haven't fought that fight yet, all of those things go with you. And you will continue to deal with them, even when you're looking out on the most beautiful beach you've ever seen. You're still there with yourself.
I feel attacked. Just kidding. It's the truth. It is.
Yeah.
You're dead on right. Yep.
Yeah.
No matter where you go, there you are with yourself.
Yeah, and
whoever else you're with.
especially, yeah, for sure. And for us, like, we had been traveling for so long, but it was a 3-year buildup to this takeoff. And yeah, you hinge everything on it, and there's so much preparation, and you just think it's going to be like everything you wanted and the answer to everything. And it has been amazing, and I am still all in. But as far as like all my baggage as a person that everybody has, like, I still have those things that I need to deal with, and I think sometimes that's caught me off guard.
Yeah. That's very true. So one other thing we talked about last year was, and I know he's still young, but Caspian's education and what your thoughts were on that. And we talked a little bit about learning through experiences, unschooling, things like that. Is that still what you plan to do?
Yeah, so we have been getting more and more questions about his schooling. I didn't get used to get asked about it as much, but now that he looks like he's 8, because he's so tall, even though he's only 5 years old, people. Yeah, it's like one of the questions we get asked the most. But to answer it, yes, I am all on board with more of an unschooling model right now. So we are learning from the people that we meet. We are learning, there are questions all around us everywhere that we go, and he's asking questions constantly. So we're just digging into all those things. And I mean, we still have like a writing book and a math book and a few things here and there, but they're more supplemental. We don't use them religiously. And I'm really confident that this is an excellent way to learn. And I know that it's super outside the box for a lot of people, but we all need to know people skills, and we need to know about how the world works. We need to know about critical thinking. Those are the things that we need to know as we come into adulthood. And in certain areas of education, those things are not tended to as much as they should be. And I am giving them my full attention with Caspian, and I think he's going to be better for it.
And he's such an inquisitive little guy anyway. I mean, he's always asking questions, and you can tell his mind's always working, And I was going to mention, you guys have a great blog about your parenting philosophy and about that, which I've shared on my page as well, because I think it's just, you captured it excellently. I mean, just very succinct with what your thoughts are on that. you know?
Yeah, thank you. That article was written in answer to all the questions that we've received so many times. And it's our parenting philosophy and the education piece and the socialization piece and everything that people question about our lifestyle as far as Caspian goes.
Yeah, he's well socialized, people. Don't worry about it. I've met the kid. He's very well socialized.
Yeah,
He's
now
not
in
afraid.
2 languages.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And he's just learning through immersion, right? Or has he taken any lessons, any actual lessons?
Yeah, we
or-
actually have. We've done Spanish school a couple times now, 2
Okay.
different times in Mexico and Guatemala, but I found that he learns best through play because those are the things that he's trying to say are the things that the other kids are saying. And so he tends to come away from school not remembering what he learned. We're like, what did you learn today? And he's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But then he picks things up on the playground all the time. And we hear him trying out things that we didn't even know he knew how to say.
That's awesome.
So it's very exciting, which by the way, is the way every baby learns how to speak a language, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's just
right.
by listening and being immersed. So we're about to be in one place in Costa Rica for a month. And that's partly so Eric can write his book, but it's also so Caspian can hopefully go into a completely Spanish speaking school. And the
awesome.
point is like not academics. It's simply to get better at Spanish and to have friends to play with.
That's awesome. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, he's going to love that.
For sure.
Absolutely. So now that it's a year later since we talked to you last and you guys have been traveling through other countries, you've gone through, I think, 4 or 5 other countries now?
I would have to name them.
Yeah, I
So
think.
Mexico, Belize, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, and Costa Rica. So
Okay, so
7.
more than 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So what's one thing when you first started out you wished you would have done differently now looking back? Is there anything?
We prepared really well for this trip. And we had the advantage of having been on the road for so long. And so as far as the gear that we brought and our build, we have been so thrilled. And we ask ourselves this all the time, like, can you think of anything or what do we need? We have learned that the Jeep could be a little bit more capable. And so in retrospect, if we had had the time and the funds, we would have added lockers for sure and possibly re-geared the Jeep Gladiator, which fortunately are things we can still do and that we're looking at doing. But yeah, that Nicaragua experience taught us a lot. And we have the Sport S Gladiator because it has the highest payload capacity. And for overlanding, that's what you have to look at. I mean, the capacity is hundreds of pounds more than the Rubicon, which is what our Wrangler is. And so it was just no question. We had to get the Sport S, but the Sport S doesn't have lockers. So I think we could use those. And those are on our wish list for Santa Claus.
What did Sean say? Jeeps can be improved with Land Rover swap. Yeah, okay.
They say you have to love the vehicle to take a trip like this because everything's going to give you problems, and we're a Jeep fan through and through.
Same.
Oh yeah.
So we'll take the good with the bad.
You guys have been a Jeep family a long time.
Yeah, well, it's all we know. So yeah.
So now I forgot what I was just going to ask you. Darn.
Sorry, Jeeps are distracting.
Jeep. We did extend our breather tubes. Tell them about our water crossing incident, Brittany.
Oh yeah, well this was the latest saga is that it's rainy season, so all the rivers are higher. And we recently went the wrong way out of 2 possible routes to where we were going across a river that all the locals know are impassable. So they don't take that way. They go the other way. But we got our wires crossed and started into this river, totally shallow. You could see the bottom. We had done this a million times. Well, we get 2/3 across and all of a sudden the Jeep starts doing this. And I look out the rear view mirror and I'm like, Eric, the water, it's going over the wheel wells. It was so high and we have never been in water that deep before, ever. And technically a stock Gladiator isn't supposed to go over 30 inches of water because of the electronics. And this was over 30 inches. So it was really freaky and we weren't sure whether we had totally ruined our Jeep, but I think we're okay.
Yeah, I saw that, and I saw all the people asking, "Did you check this? Did you check that? Did you get water in here?" So, yeah, I remembered what I was going to ask you, by the way. But
Okay,
it is
awesome.
about the Gladiator. So you
Okay.
guys had the long range tank put in last year.
Yeah.
How many times have you used it?
We use it way more than we thought we were
Did
going
you?
to.
Okay.
Yeah. We originally were like, well, we use it in that we keep fuel in it. As far as would we ever have been stranded without it, Eric would have to leave a comment. I don't think so. No. I don't think we've been that far afield, but there will definitely be times in South America, probably Africa, and definitely Australia that we will need that tank.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we usually
the Rubicon. You guys had gas fuel on there, and then you ended up taking it off because of the weight and that you didn't really use it. And so I remember us talking about when you guys got the tank put on. You said, well, probably, just keep it empty and use it only if we need it. And, so I was just curious.
It full. Yeah,
No.
We don't keep it full, but it is really nice sometimes because the gas price can change so much from country to country. And so that's a place that we can save a lot of money just kind of by knowing what the different prices are before we cross the border. And something that I love about the long range specifically on the Gladiator is that it balances out the weight from the stock tank, which I think I may have mentioned last time, but the stock tank is on one side and the long range is on the other. So that's actually a really nice feature of it, and it's low and it's center.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I put up on the screen here how people can contact you guys and find you on different socials, and then you also have. Go ahead.
I was just going to say we're super approachable. So
yes.
I know maybe not everybody is, but we're super approachable. We love answering questions. I especially love answering them about traveling with kids. That's my especial passion. So please don't be shy.
Yes. And then there's also hourlesslife.com where people can read your blog posts and get different information. Oh, you got a new Patreon. Nice.
So appreciate that.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on the show tonight, Brittany. I really enjoyed seeing you again. I'm so glad we got to catch up. And we'll have to hit you in 2 years and see what's changed next year.
Let's do it. Yeah, it will be on a new continent. So, wow, that's wild.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, that'll be so exciting. Well, thank you so much for watching tonight, everyone. We appreciate it. And go check out Hourless Life on YouTube and all the other socials. Have a good night.